Ewok, what do you make of the action in the market today? And we'll just kind of parlay that right into this FOMC thing. Again, no news is good news, basically. Everybody thought there would not be any real move. They did not make one. And as usual with these things, it's kind of like the devil is in the details. Jerome Powell kind of alluded to, and again, we always say this, the dad speech, the hawkish tone and stuff like that. He seemed to allude to that nothing much was going to happen in 2024 either, that we aren't even close to seeing rate cuts, which is something that people are wanting also. He tried to allude to that we may be just here where we are right now for quite some time, like a year and a half. Who knows? But what do you make of all the news today and how the markets have reacted?
Well, a lot of times we've seen this time and time again. Everything's pretty baked in. You're getting your standard pumps, standard pullbacks. It's a very boring time of year, time of the cycle, I should say. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. We kind of expected at least one more rate hike, I think, by the end of the year. And he stated today that we probably would get one at some point. But he keeps saying, well, we just want to see the data. We just want to see the data. So, we were talking, before the stream started, that I think one of the most bullish things that could happen is because, there is a rate decrease that's prognosticated to be in May or June, maybe June or July. But if it happens earlier, like say April or May, if they do lower it by, 20, even if it's 25 basis points, whatever, how bullish that could be for everything. And I think it would really, timing with the halvening of Bitcoin could really set us off on a nice path for the rest of the year. So again, I don't see much reaction. Yeah, it did pull back a little bit, but everything, only I think it was more because it had just run up so much that it is a natural pullback, and I really don't think that the meeting had anything to do with it.
Yeah, I agree with you as far as our ecosystem. We've just run up so much that you have to expect something like this, especially because, hey, it still is 2023. It's nice that we're moving up, but we're not totally out of the woods. I want to ask you this, Ewok, because, everybody always talks about like the Fed pivoting and that the actual definition for that would be a rate cut. Psychologically, do you think people may look at this kind of admittance of I don't think they're going to be hiking rates anymore at this point. Do you think this could be looked at as kind of a pivot by a lot of people by some definition? I mean, I understand that we're not going in the downward trajectory, but maybe a half pivot, a 180, I guess it'd be like a 90, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
That we're at least not going up anymore. Do you think that? Because I think we're going to see more bullish action over the next couple of months. I know I'm not alone in that sentiment. And of course, as we get into the first quarter of 2024. But just the fact that they, we're out of the environment of them continuing to raise. Do you think that, psychologically people could start coming back to the markets maybe just based on that here and there?
Yeah, sure. I think so. They always say no news is good news, right? So, yeah, I mean, people are settling in to what these rates have kind of done to the economy. They're getting used to it, which is kind of pitiful that we're getting used to these prices and gas prices are now becoming a thing of normalcy. And I think, not doing anything is positive right now. I mean, it can't hurt. At least it's not getting worse. So I think that's just kind of the mentality that people have. Is that, hey, well, nothing happened, so here we go, till the next meeting, we'll see what happens and let it go from there. But yeah, I think it's, semi-bullish. It's not bearish by any means.
Yeah, I'm all for it. We have 2 more FOMC meetings this year. And, look, we talked about this off the air too before we came on. These are starting to become total nothing burgers at this point. I mean, they kind of have been for the last few months anyway, as far as their real impact on the market. But we've got a couple left now. So we've got November the 1st will be the next FOMC announcement this year. Then we've got December the 13th. Those are the last 2 for 2023. The interesting thing that you talked about, Ewok, going into 2024 and the probabilities of when the real pivot, the actual cutting of rates could happen. So we've got January 31st, there will be a meeting next year, March 20th, which maybe we're looking by then, but then maybe the magic number here, May 1st, which is going to be just after the Bitcoin halving. We drew this up already in the green room, but that idea, the fact that we're going to have ETF talk all of next year, whether, you know, I mean, we obviously don't really support or want ETFs, but it's happening. So what are you going to do? A lot of things kind of coalescing as we get towards the end of that first quarter there that could really make for some bullish stuff. What do you think about that whole Bermuda Triangle, I guess, of, you know, New Year, the pivot, the halving, the ETF talk, because we're probably going to have some big developments by that point on that front, I think, with ETFs. I mean, what do you think that environment could look like? A mere, hey, we're only talking like 6 months away or so, 6 or 7 months.
Far.
Yeah,
not far away. And I think it could be very bullish. Now, if I remember correctly, right after the halving, there is a drawdown. And then, you know, quickly, like I said, if that May 1st date is a reversal, it could really set things off. Lots of things happening with the ETFs coming into play. Hopefully they're approved by then. May have an answer for the Richard Hart ecosystem, which we'll talk about in a little bit. You know, who knows what could happen by then. There could even be another black swan event that we don't even know about. Binance could be taken down or something crazy. So yeah, things like that could really rocket it, set it off, and really start that period of the rest of the year off on a good foot. I think we've kind of looked into that, you know, that area of time until things start to get turned around anyway. And you know, what better way to set it off with all of that stuff. Now, I have heard recently that the Bitcoin halving may not have as much impact as it did before, because going from what are we at now? 3 point something down to 1.75 isn't that much of a reduction in rewards. It's not like it was when it went from 12 to 6 or 6 to 3 or whatever. You know, this one's a lot less. So the halving isn't as impactful, I guess we should say. So it could be a different outcome. You know, who knows? Now we know that we know that the value will probably go up just because they're harder to get. But there may not be as much of a pullback right after that. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Excited to see all these things kind of push it in the right direction for us. Finally, been a long bear market, been rough on people. So,
boy, it really has. And you know, I never thought of it this way until Axis said it to us last week. But yeah, you're right. It's been it's been statistically the longest bear market that we have had. But the idea that this ecosystem, you know, and if you're watching this stream, we assume you're in it and have maybe been along for this ride over the last couple of years. We've had 3 bear markets. I really liked Axis's way of looking at that. Whether it be, no, I'm forgetting how he actually marked them, but you know, basically just the traditional bear market, the one after I guess like the announcement of V3, maybe. I mean, it pumped up big time, but then we had the actual split and prices came down from there. So I guess that would be it. And then of course the worst one, the SEC news after that, to really flush some people out. So
yeah, he called it a triple bear market. You know, the unexpected non-launch was the second one. So yeah.
Oh yeah, like last May. 22. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What you mean. Yeah. But clearly the SEC one, I mean, you know, we knew the first one. I mean, we were along with everybody else. You know, if you've been around crypto for a bit, you probably figured that Hex was going to go down pretty damn far, 90% plus, just, you know, as most tokens are going to. But then the SEC one, of course, you know, with them protecting us very, very hard. And we have felt so protected by them over the last couple of months. So that kind of was the last one. So